So I wanted to make a quick video because I'd like to share this. I put a lot of work into it and it doesn't really make sense for me to just have it. As many of you jazz musicians might know, there is a folder that's gone around over the years that has digitized versions of all the real books. I, of course, don't own it because I am a wonderful person who would never violate copyright law potentially. But if one were to, the files would look like this. And if one were to possess those potentially copyright violating um, digitized versions of the real book, they might look like this with all these different songs in it with sheet music. Again, couldn't tell you. I'm a wonderful person, doesn't violate copyright law. I just know that's what it would look like. Included with that may or may not be a master index that has all the songs by alphabetical order by song name, then by book. So, like if you have one song with the same that occurs in multiple books, the books are going to be alphabetized. So that way you can say, I'm looking for this song, I'm going to find it in this book and on this page, right? So what I did was I wrote some code that turned that into a spreadsheet that can be used in Google Sheets or Excel. And what some advantages of this are, it lets you filter and categorize things a bit. So I created a column so you can filter it down by tunes that over the years of listening, and I think you'll agree. You might have some tunes that aren't on this list, but it's pretty comprehensive. Like everything, once you filter it down to favorite slash standards, are a lot of stuff that you just hear a lot on recordings or jams or whatever. Then I further filtered that down to jam tunes versus not jam tunes because some tunes are played a lot, but you don't hear them a lot of jams across the country. Like I've played in multiple cities at jam sessions. So, I narrowed it down to what tunes you hear often at jams. And then I also labeled which ones are common vocal tunes. So, like for example, what's a good example is like it don't mean a thing if you ain't got no swing. Every once in a while, a vocalist might come to a jam session and call that because it's a tune that they love, but you don't really hear jazz instrumentalists calling it a lot. So I tried to label that one. Lullaby of Birdland is sort of an example of that. You might hear that called by an instrumentalist, but it's more popular amongst vocalists. So I kind of labeled those as well. And then within those, I gave them different categories. So like, let's say you're creating a set and it's like, man, I'd really like a tune in 3/4. There aren't a ton of jazz tunes like that, but this will give you a nice quick list in a hurry. Same for I'm playing the same ballad over and over again. Like you don't necessarily have to have a ballad memorized if you're a highly competent player. Like you can improvise over slow changes if they're not super crazy, like Coltrane changes. So you filter on ballad, and here's all these really common ballads, but also some things that are a little bit off the beaten trail, especially if you remove the standards functionality. Now you're looking at all these ballads that might be things you don't necessarily get overplayed or hear a lot, but are great tunes. Especially if you remove the jam tunes. So like if you remove jam tunes, now you're looking at all sorts of cool ballads. You don't hear Bewitched super often. Flowers, a lonesome thing. Like it's a way to spice up your set list. Jazz musicians hate lead sheets on gigs, but like it's a nice way to just have some options, because you don't need to have these memorized. Like there's slow tunes. A lot of times the chord progressions aren't super complicated. So it's a way to spice up your set list. You can also kind of plan out when you're going to memorize. Like I try to assign tunes that I memorize on a monthly basis. So these are the tunes I'm going to memorize in month one, month two. You can also modify the categories. Like I try to designate tunes that are really common bebop tunes. Oops, sorry. Let me clear this. So really common bebop tunes, that tend to be a little bit more difficult to play. Or let's say I'd like to add a bossa nova tune, whether it's adding it to my set with sheet music or memorizing. Here's a bunch of bossa novas. For some of the like post 1950s, not like standard stuff, I tried to label by artist. So like if you want to see all the Wayne Shorter tunes in your library, you just filter down to uh, let's see, we could do Chick Corea. Like here's all the Coltrane tunes. Here's all the Chick Corea tunes. Here's all the Horace Silver ones that are in there. Here's some Joe Henderson. Here's some, waltzes, which really I should change it from 3/4 to waltz. Wayne Shorter tunes too can also come in handy. Here's a bunch of Wayne Shorter standards. You can label things. I like to label when I'm practicing, like what book I want to use, whether I want to use hard, which ones are hard, so I can focus on those first. And then you can create set lists out of that. So I can say like this is tune one, this is tune two, this is tune three, next tune this is tune one, this is tune three, this is tune two, this is tune three. And then I can filter on those, so that gives me a nice organic set list with what books I'm going to use. I also created a distinct list with the same filtering. So like if you want to know exactly how many of the jam tunes there are, you can filter down to jam tunes, and then boom, you see here that there is 330 jam tunes, common jam tunes on this list. You can also count those. So like I can filter and say like how many favorites are there? 611 versus 2063 not favorites. How many vocal tunes are there? 134. So that's a cool tool. You can also copy this stuff over to like you could say, well, I want to make a 7 set song template, and you can have like multiple sets. So like this is set one, set two, set three, set four. So you can like pick songs from there and copy over this. It's a great way to like visualize your set creation. So I just think there's a lot of ways this can be useful. It took me a lot of time to build. It doesn't cost anything to share. So I figure why not? I hope somebody's able to make some use out of it. Thanks you for your time.